I'm very lucky today to have with me Simone Stevens, one of our VEC Democracy Ambassadors, who's worked with us since the election in 2018 to help promote voting and enrolment for people with disabilities across Victoria. Simone, I'd like to welcome you here today. Thank you for agreeing to talk with us.
No worries, Deb. It's my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
Each year, as you know, Simone, we celebrate December 3, International Day for People with Disabilities. And we do so to celebrate the achievements that people with disabilities have within their own communities and within our world, and the impact that this makes on our communities, both large and small. The theme this year is leadership and participation of persons with disabilities towards an inclusive, accessible and sustainable post-COVID-19 world. Quite a long theme for a very, very important day. So Simone, if you could tell us just a few answers to some really good questions we've got here today, so we can get to know you a little bit more and a little bit more about what you've done in your leadership and participation in your community. Can you tell us what you've done in your career to help support access and inclusion for people with disabilities?
Well, firstly, I really like to think that it's education, educating the community and starting off with that, and then making the community aware that we're no longer living in the 1970s, and to include people with disabilities and making sure that people with disabilities are feeling a part of their community.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. And would you agree with me that it's often also about educating people without a disability about making the world more inclusive for other people?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. Yeah. I think that's half the problem is people without a disability not realizing, or I don't know how to explain it, but they don't seem to include people with disabilities, or don't seem the need to, or don't know how to. I
Yeah.
just don't know. But I know it's really hard to integrate people with disabilities into a community setting, for
Yeah.
example.
And would you say too that it's often more the environment that we live in that disables us more than our bodies not being able to work in a certain way?
Yep, I agree. Yep.
Yeah. And with COVID-19, Simone, did you find any barriers that were erected literally for some places overnight that made it harder for you to interact with your community and your environment?
No more than usual,
Yeah.
really, to share the truth. But I know others had it more harder than what I did. But
Yeah.
for me personally,
Yeah, yeah. I know for myself, those screens that were put up in shops to stop people breathing all over other people made it very difficult to hear the shop assistants. Yeah. So can you tell me
yeah.
why is it important for people with disabilities to enrol and vote?
I think it's vital that people need to vote, no matter if they've got a disability or not. We have a duty and a right, and it's a privilege to vote, and despite if you've got a disability or not. And that's why I signed up to be a democracy ambassador in the first place, and it's the best decision I've made.
Yeah. And realistically, voting is a way of us choosing new leaders in our community, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But it's I don't think I would want to do anything more, anything different than doing my democracy ambassador, because I love it. I really love it, and I come away from it feeling empowered because I've helped people. And if I could help one person in a session, then I'm a happy woman.
Oh, that's really cool. And in your opinion, Simone, how can Australians support more people with disabilities to participate in community and be leaders on various levels?
Well, that's an interesting one, Deb, because it's the way the society interacts with people with disabilities. If they're open, if they're more open, then yes, you're going to get more positive feedback. But if people aren't going to, I guess, be more open to people with disabilities, then unfortunately it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So we have to really change the way we think and how we really see the value of every human being in our community and what they can give.
Regardless of if you've got a disability or not,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And really, it's up to all of us to help, as you mentioned earlier, to empower other people to be able to step into their power and speak up or speak out about what is important to them.
It's everybody's responsibility, not just one person.
Yeah, true. How can you tell us, can you tell us how COVID-19 has impacted on the way you worked as a VEC Democracy Ambassador last year for our local council elections?
Well, that's actually an interesting thing, actually, you bring up, Deb, because usually what we do is go out, and talk to groups, as you know, but we had to do things a little bit differently. And I know for some programs, and they really struggled because we had to do everything on Zoom or on Teams. And I know it's a lot different to face to face. And what you can normally show face to face is extremely difficult on Zoom and Teams.
Yeah,
Like showing ballot papers and how to do things. So trying to explain and how to demonstrate things like that is really difficult for some people with intellectual disabilities. For example, the comprehension and the level of of mechanisms where their attention span, you could get them in a room, but when on the computer, you just can't get it for very long because um, they just lose interest,
yeah.
unfortunately.
We did have to make
You
them
know.
a lot smaller, shorter, didn't we, our sessions? Yeah,
Exactly, yeah, and it's just making that allowance
yeah,
and making sure that we were all aware of that and we were supporting each other, because I know a lot of democracy ambassadors were struggling with that and supporting each other in doing that.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, yep. How did the pandemic change the way you personally prepared yourself to vote last year in the local council elections?
It didn't really, it's funny you should say that because it really didn't impact me. I'm lucky to have an electric wheelchair, so I'm able to take myself down to the post office and with my mask and everything like that, and vote that way.
Yeah,
Like vote from home and do that. So it really didn't impact me at all.
yep. Okay.
But I know
And
with others it did.
yeah, for some others it did, didn't it? Because it was a little bit
Yeah.
different. They may never have voted at home before, so it was probably a new process for people to learn over again. Yeah, instead of going to a voting centre. Yeah, yeah,
Mm, mm.
yeah. And I mean, the local council will always be a postal vote, so it is a new skill that we have to make sure that we continue to teach people moving forward as well, because that's how
But also,
we'll always vote for local council elections here in Victoria.
exactly, but also encouraging people that it's okay. And if you are scared to do that, it's okay to be scared. We can help you through that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like finding
and
ways of doing things.
yeah, and helping them to find some supports from home to be able to
Yeah.
do their postal vote. That could be hard for some people if they don't have someone at home who can help them on a regular basis. So, yeah. And if you could give younger people in Victoria a piece of advice, what would it be, Simone?
Just to be yourself. That's a big one. But also, just know that if you want to learn something, ask for assistance, so, and you just know that you're capable of anything if you want to put your mind to it.
Yeah, I like that. A good way to end our interview today. I'd like to thank you for your time, Simone.
Thank you so much.